Hello everyone, welcome back to A-Dolla-Cents. Today we're actually going to take a deep dive into some of the better ways or best ways to maintain long-term health of your LFP battery pack. Now, this is really pertinent in the sense that right now we've got Rivian having some issues where people are losing the bottom 15 or 10% of their battery pack. We also have different manufacturers like Tesla that says charge your LFP battery every week to 100%, or in my case I drive a Ford Mach-E standard range and they say to charge it to 100% at least once a month. I actually do not charge my battery to 100%, but this is a calculated risk, and I'll show you what I do in between those times until I actually need that 100% for a long road trip. Before that road trip, what needs to happen is doing a calibration and balancing that pack. So I'll tell you the proper way to actually do that, which might actually be missed, I think, in a lot of the literature or some of the other videos out there. You would like to choose an LFP versus an NMC battery pack, even though it's less energy dense, but it has a higher chemical stability, which means it's less prone to thermal runaway events. So that's one of the trade-offs that you already have for going with an LFP battery pack. However, that LFP battery pack is also more forgiving for going to its higher state of charge to 100% or even at a low state of charge. There are other risks, even though the chemistry is much more stable at a low state of charge. There are some risks that I'll also explain about being at that low state of charge. The chemistry is actually very forgiving for going to a high state of charge, but the caveat there is you don't want to leave it at 100% for days at a time. You really want to have it at 100% just long enough for the battery cells to top balance and top each other off and kind of all level off their states of charge. And then you kind of want to drive the car back down to 90% or 80% or something of the sort. Even at a low state of charge, an LFP chemistry is much more stable. At a low state of charge, the anode is actually empty of lithium ions and the cathode is actually full of lithium ions. That graphite anode, empty of lithium ions, is a very chemically stable state, and that cathode, which is full of lithium ions, is actually a chemically stable state for iron phosphate, right? But one of the differences between an NMC battery pack and an LFP battery pack is the voltage curve. With an NMC battery pack, it has a voltage curve that you can track and pretty much guarantee that if it's at a particular voltage, you know what the state of charge is. With an LFP battery pack, we've got much more of an S curve going on. And with that being the case, the middle of the battery pack, it's very happy, but from 70 to 30%, it's pretty much a flat curve, right? And with that flat curve, you don't exactly know how much your real remaining state of charge is. And in order to keep track of that, what engineers have decided to do is called Coulomb counting. It's basically counting the flow of electricity or electrons in and out of the battery pack. Anything that you're calculating is prone to having some calculation error. And the longer that this happens without having a reset is the further that you have the battery state of charge drift, where it could actually drift higher or lower from its actual state of charge. But that's simply because there's no direct calculation, especially in between that flat area of the voltage curve. The LFP battery pack has what you call the knees in that S curve. So you have a high knee around 3.6 to 3.8 volts between 90 and 100%. And then the happy state of charge, the flat state of charge, is somewhere between 3 to 3.2 volts. And then you have a low knee, which is somewhere like 2.9, 2.8 volts. There is also a critical discharge when you begin to look at potentially damaging your battery if you go below 2.5 volts. Below that critical point, what you're looking at is copper dissolution, which means that the copper will begin to dissolve, and at the next charge, that copper can get deposited onto the anode, and this is what could lead to shorts and permanent capacity loss. Holding a high state of charge as well, you have risk of dendrites and lithium plating, which also leads to permanent capacity loss. So I prefer to avoid those high states of charge as much as possible. But if I am going to go to an extreme, I don't mind going down to the lower state of charge, preferably. Either way, at a high or low state of charge, what you want to do is not keep it there for a long time. You can absolutely drive low in the battery pack, then you'll want to start to charge up as soon as possible. And you can absolutely go to 100%, and then you want to drive the car as soon as possible again. Now we're going to talk about that low state of charge risk. What happens at the lower state of charge is that because we have a bunch of individual cells in a pack, you are going to have one or two cells that are lower voltage than the rest of the pack. The lowest cell in that battery pack really pulls down the entire capacity of the rest of the battery pack. But the proper way to top balance your LFP battery is to recognize that lower knee below 20%, between 10 and 20%. You don't really have to go below 10%. And once the calculator, the computer recognizes that knee, you want to then charge up to 100%. Once you're at 100%, the cells will still need a couple hours for the BMS to balance all of the cells in that pack. And once all of the cells are balanced, well, then you're free to unplug, drive away, and you know that your battery has been fully calibrated. You will hear that they tell you once a month or once a week, whatever that manufacturer says, that you're going to charge that battery to 100%. But what I find is often missing is that you also want to do it from a low state of charge so that you go past the low knee, all the way past the flat section of the curve, and all the way to the top of the high knee, where they've programmed to recognize that voltage as an actual 100%. And again, once it's there at 100%, give the battery pack time to top balance. So what happens whenever you actually go below that critical state of charge and you get that warning that it's time to pull over safely? You still are driving a car that has a 12-volt battery. The 12-volt battery in an EV is not maintained by an alternator. There's just actually DC to DC converters that go from the high voltage traction battery and charge up your 12-volt battery. If your high voltage battery gets too low in energy, it can no longer maintain the charge of that 12-volt battery, which is still running your accessories and other critical functions for the car. And if that 12-volt battery is too weak, it can no longer close the contactor for the high voltage battery to engage drive. So that's what happens at a low state of charge. Your 12-volt battery is now out of energy and it can no longer close the contactors, which means that 12-volt battery has to be jumped. So just a quick review for recovering from a bricked state. That bricked state is when your 12-volt battery is weak, your high voltage battery is weak. So to recover from a brick state, you need to just jump your car, and that happens just like it does even with ICE and hybrid vehicles. You're going to connect the red to the dead battery, and then you're going to connect the red to the rescue car or to your jump pack. Afterwards, you connect the black lead, which is now the negative, to the dead car again, and then you connect the black lead to the donor car or the car that's rescuing you or that jump pack. Give the car that needs to be jumped some time for that battery to regain some energy, that 12-volt battery. Once it's gotten that 12-volt battery going, keep it connected to the donor car if you like it, and so that you can actually bring up the state of charge. And after about 10 or 15 minutes or so, you are going to be able to disconnect, but this time in the reverse order. So you're going to take the black lead, that negative lead, off your rescue vehicle, and then take that black lead off of your now jumped car. And always when you're working with these jumper leads, you're going to be very careful about where you set down these leads and how they touch and connect each other. If you connect or touch while these are attached to a charged 12-volt battery, you're going to see sparks. So you're going to be very careful as you connect and disconnect. And then you will disconnect the red lead from your rescue car, and then disconnect the red lead from your now jumped and recovered vehicle. You're going to want to go get that 12-volt battery tested to see if it has to be replaced, and you're going to, of course, want to make sure that you can charge up your high voltage battery on your EV as well. The last part that I will say is whenever I actually want to calibrate my battery, I like to drive it down to that 15% state of charge on the road. I will actually then go ahead and park next to my charger, and I will put the windows down and turn the heat up to get the battery pack as low as I'm comfortable with, somewhere around 5%. Really makes me know that I'm well past the knee, and the battery management system, the BMS, knows that low knee well. And then you will want to leave it in one charge state all the way up to 100%. Depending on your level 2 charger that you have, it can take anywhere from 4 to 8 to 10 hours, all depending on how many kilowatts you are charging your car with. I am quite happy using my 7 kilowatt charger, which could take around 8 to 10 hours to recharge my standard range Mach-E. The Mach-E can actually charge up to 11 kilowatts with its onboard charger, which would of course bring that time all the way down to 4 to 6 hours. So there you go, that's my guide. If you have any questions or comments or anything else that you'd like me to talk about more in depth, please leave a comment and I'll get back to you. Until next time on A-Dolla-Cents, let's stay connected. Don't forget, you can check the description for my full article on my blog site as well.